of the conversation. And as Brian Amwai reports on the finance bill debate that continues to anger both the young and the old, and a social media mobilization that seeks to pile pressure on the government to throw out the bill.
Bill 2024 continues to take new heights.
You should remain on board. Remain on board because politicians see Mungu.
A session that started early in the morning on Saturday, going all the way to late evening, attracted over 50,000 Kenyans to the space to plan on the way forward as mobilization for protest continues. A heated debate with Kenyans calling out their members of parliament for betraying them. They had a conversation about the state of the nation, debated issues around the finance bill, and championed for the freedom and release of those who have disappeared without a trace and are allegedly said to have been abducted by authorities. It is an unprecedented scenario. The pulse of the nation was the center of attention on a social media platform, with over 1.2 million people having listened in 7 hours since the beginning of the X-Spaces. The conveners fearlessly castigated the government and the police for their conduct lately of arrest of some of the most vocal online personalities whose tweets and actions helped propel the Occupy Parliament protests and conversations. One such victim is ex-influencer by the name Billy the Goat or Crazy Nairobian.
Some of the issues, yes, you're raising are very, very genuine. I don't.
So where is Billy? Where is Billy?
I don't know. Unfortunately. Unfortunately,
ask here, Billy Akwapi, that's what we want to hear. Kindly.
Osama.
Yes, where is Nairobi?
Politicians and government officials who dared to join the X-Spaces had a hard time having their case heard, with angry Kenyans descending on them without an iota of fear. They told truth to power, called them out, and when the heat was too much, CS Murkomen and his security counterpart Kithure Kindiki stepped out of the kitchen.
Where is Mejoji space icon? Where to Mali Billy Ako na story shevo?
I don't know about Billy, bro. I don't know about Billy.
All right then. If you don't know about Billy, if you do not know about Billy, you said you're here to listen to your people. So we are asking you to go tell your people to present Billy. That is all we want from you.
No problem. I'm happy to listen.
The push to have Billy released bore fruits, with Dennis Itumbi later confirming his release following an online uproar. Itumbi tweeted, "Asante for the withdrawal of the complaint. Crazy Nairobian was released on free bond. Enjoy freedom, Billy." And for a moment, the head of state joined in the conversation. However, his account handlers were not happy with exposing the king and resulted in issuing threats to those who posted about the president listening in to the conversation. The movement has already started. Plans for next week have already been drawn. For tomorrow, Sunday, the protests are being taken to the pulpit with Occupy churches. The message is loud and clear, and they say the struggle has just begun.
We will unfollow and report all government officials and members of parliament who supported the finance bill on social media platforms. Their silence in the face of brutality and their complicity in corruption can never go unpunished. Churches, institutions of moral authority, have also been eerily silent amid these injustices. We call upon all leaders of SEK, Catholic, SDA, Deliverance, AIC, CITAM, PCA, and other denomination religions to speak out against corruption and state violence. We will occupy churches nationwide to demand accountability and moral leadership from our spiritual guides.
Brian Amwai, K24.
21-year-old Evans Kiratu, the protester who was hit in the groin with a tear gas canister, has died. Kiratu participated in the demonstrations against the finance bill. The family is now demanding for justice for their son.
Evans Kiratu has become the second person to lose his life from the demonstrations against the contentious finance bill of 2024. Kiratu's body lies at the Kenyatta Funeral Home, causing pain and despair to the family.
Mimi ndio mama ya Evans Kiratu, mwenye alikufa ama aliaga kutokana na explosion ya canister. Sasa niko hapa, nimevi mwili, nimeona ni yeye. Ile nimegeomba ni haki ya mtoto wangu. Sababu yeye alikuwa anajifanyia kazi na alikufa akiwa tu kazini. Sasa naomba tu hata serikali tuambie kusema ukweli, tuliwachagua ndio mtulie watoto. Is a young guy. Na nilikuwa na expect na matumaini mingi kutoka kwake.
The family mourned their son as the hardworking individual whose bright future has been ended unfairly.
The deceased is my nephew and we are demanding for justice. He's only 21 years old and he had future for him, so let justice be sentenced for him.
Chris Munene, a young gentleman who came to Kiratu's aid after being hit during the demonstrations, said the delays at the Kenyatta hospital contributed to the death of Evans Kiratu.
I was among the first people who responded to the call of this young man when he was actually hit. And we took him to Kenyatta National Hospital, where we met a huge line actually of around 7 patients who were waiting to be attended to. We tried all our best to urge the doctors to come in aid. He was writhing in pain all the way from Kenyatta Avenue to Kenyatta Hospital. He kept on wailing and crying.
Haki Africa further condemned the police for using excessive force in dealing with the demonstrators, causing deaths of young innocent people.
We want to ask the DCI, please be in the side of justice, facilitate the justice quest, and do not put more pain in the family of Rex and Evans. And on that note, we are still going to be on the street. We know that you people are trying to distort our organizing. You are trying to intimidate us. You saw what you came to do to Boniface Mwangi and Hussein Khalid. We are aware, but we not relent. And so we want to call upon the young people and the people that love justice. We have to organize, we have to unite, and we have to be in the front line because the lives that are being lost.
The organizers of the street protests have planned a week-long series of demonstrations against the finance bill, which has been termed as punitive and oppressive. Anthony Kwemoi, K24 TV, Nairobi.
Condolences to the family and friends who have lost the young protesters. Now, Deputy President Rigathi Gachagua is sustaining his call for the equitable sharing of the national cake based on population. Gachagua says if the formula is applied, the Mount Kenya region stands to benefit more due to its high contribution of taxes.
The Deputy President was speaking in Wanjerere, Ruathi and Kangema Sub-County, during the burial of the late Kikonyo Kanyuira, the former chairman of Ruathi Distributors Limited that owns several business enterprises in Nairobi City, also rooted for unity in the region. Gachagua has continued with his call for the sharing of the national cake based on population. Speaking in Kikuyu, Rigathi accused leaders who have been terming him as a tribal leader, saying he is not relenting in his move towards uniting the region.
And charity begins at home.
He also criticized politicians he said are moving around the country buying out local leaders. He also said that he will continue advocating for one man, one shilling, saying it will be the benefit for the mountain people whom he said have been receiving very little share. He also called for unity of the people from the mountain region. The DP, who read the president's message of condolences, eulogized the late business mogul as hardworking and who is worth emulating. Gachagua also urged tea farmers to elect people with integrity in the forthcoming KTDA elections. Public Service CS Moses Kuria took a separate political leaders who have declared interest in top leadership positions in the country at the expense of serving Kenyans, saying it is a catalyst for bringing about divisions.
Let us not stop lying. Me, I'm not going to be part of a leadership that is going to cheat our people, that is going to lead our people astray.
The area MP Peter Kihongi defended the move by MPs allied to Kenya Kwanza for supporting the Finance Bill 2024, saying it is the only way to fund development projects in the country. Maina Alfred, K24, Muranga.
Postponement of the UDA party election continues to elicit debate and questions on the party's preparedness after the primaries, which was slotted for today, was suspended for the third time. Over 300 delegates aligned with Nairobi Governor Johnson Sakaja are now seeking a way forward as they accuse the National Elections Board, which has cited unavoidable circumstances of the postponement. The repeated delays have caused significant frustration among the delegates who expressed their dissatisfaction at the party's headquarters on Gong Road.
Kwa majina yangu naitwa Elizabeth Waithera, natoka Roysambu na mimi ni chairperson wa Roysambu ambaye alichaguliwa na delegates wa Roysambu. Tumeambiwa ati election ni kesho. Sasa hii tunakaa chini hivi tunaanza kuona ati election imesimamishwa. Tunataka kuambia Mwaura kitu moja, chairman wa UDA, sisi wamama wa Nairobi tumechoka na umetuchosha.
Kwa majina mimi naitwa Abdalla Ali Karenjo kutoka Embakasi East na mimi ndio mweka hazina wa hiyo constituency. Tumekasirika sana kwa sababu hii ni mara ya pili kusimamishiwa election yetu. Juzi walitoa circular wakasema kesho tutakuwa Bomas. Leo tunaona cancellation kwa simu. Si nasema hivi, kama bwana Mwaura amepatiwa pesa, ni vizuri atuambie leo.
Community engagement programs are being credited with addressing health inequalities and promoting the uptake of health services. This is according to the network of community health promoters drawn from different regions in the country. They were participants in a knowledge dissemination forum in Naivasha. And as Gertrude Burgay now reports, experts have observed that for continuous healthcare delivery, community voices should not be ignored.
Yes, there are huge gaps. Yes.
Communities must get onto the table when programs are being designed and implemented, and altogether monitor how programs are being done.
Those are our four.
This was one of the remarks made during a knowledge dissemination forum bringing together a network of community health promoters drawn from different regions in the country in Naivasha.
So we are having that conversation.
The meeting saw various experts share lessons on the best practices from diverse community system strengthening interventions with a focus on conditions such as malaria, TB, as well as sexual and reproductive health. According to officials, 80% of the burden on healthcare sits within communities. With this, the government ought to engage communities to play a role.
For instance, when we had the issues of COVID, it is the communities that came first to mobilize themselves to respond to COVID and even to support their community members in terms of uptake of services. When there was the issues of the flood, it is the community themselves that organized, mobilized themselves and also supported their fellow communities in terms of rescuing them, in terms of food support and such kind of support. So when we talk about the community system strengthening, we are looking at the whole spectrum. How do we look at and how do we mobilize, build capacity of communities so that they are able to respond?
They observe that information generated from communities forms national level advocacy with policymakers for a solution to be sought.
We have something we are calling iMonitor, which is an alert system where somebody goes to a health facility and probably there are no drugs. They just report in an application using their phone to say this facility is lacking drugs. That is important to help the counties. For example, some of the counties like Homa Bay have taken up this seriously and are able to really say we have drugs in point B, point C is lacking. How do we ensure that those drugs move there? But in a bigger picture, essentially, is to really say, then now what do we do with all this information that is coming from different places? It then forms a bigger aspect of national level advocacy with the policy makers to really say, what is it that we can then do?
The government was called upon to expand community health promoters program to reach all households. Further, ensuring that they are financially compensated, upskilled, equipped and supervised will go a long way in accelerating progress towards universal health coverage.
We want to make it even more pronounced as we move forward, as we move towards 2030, when we put a cap for universal health coverage, that we are going to involve everybody in an integrated manner so that we move away from siloed programming where CSS is with AMREF at the corner, then we have community health within government in another corner, and yet you're all working for the same communities.
Gertrude Burgay, K24 TV.
Snap it. Snap it again.
Well, on that note, we take our very first break on Evening Edition. More stories to come, including the burial of late Magistrate Monica Kivuti. Stay put.
When it's a Saturday, there's only one entertainment show in East and Central Africa.